So Tam, you've mentioned that you've been coming to Ware for a few years.
Right.
Have you noticed any difference in the kinds of people that are coming here and what they're looking for?
Yeah, I would agree with that statement that in the past 4 or 5 years since I've been coming to Ware 2.0, I've seen more of an awareness that location is just not a dot in a map. It's not just a lat long on a map, but it actually contains more than just the location that you'd put in your map. I've also noticed that folks that are coming out here and attending this conference, that there's a great deal of interest in spatial relationship between content on a map. For example, it's not only that how far away am I from a certain point, but what is around me, what is surrounding me. Those kind of questions people are asking and trying to get the answer for that and be able to map it and present it in all different kind of forms, from 2D maps to 3D maps, which is what I usually deal with.
So you mentioned 3D maps. You are working specifically at Esri in 3D and 3D modeling?
Correct. So I've been working with Esri for about 12 years now, and we have a strong team at Esri dedicated in producing and working with 3D maps. We have a set of tools that allows you to publish great 3D content, and also we have a set of tools that allows you to manage and manipulate that data set. 3D is core to us in such a way that we try to look at it from the perspective that 3D mapping allows you or gives you this added dimension that you don't get with your traditional 2D maps, from context to relationship to size and scale. And for that, we have a set of tools or tool sets that we provide as far as creating the 3D content, as far as managing it, visualizing the data set, analyzing and sharing.
So before we go into more of that, what you're talking about, themes there, what are some of the use cases that you can see for 3D GIS modeling? I mean, are there some interesting things that people have done other than like a bird's eye view or the satellite view? Is there something else that people...
Yeah, it's interesting that you mentioned that, Mike, because a lot of times the visualization aspect of 3D takes the credit, and it's very appealing, it's very visual, hence visualization. But really the core of 3D, the way that we look at it, is the analysis part, and this really plays very well with what you're saying, that what can you do more with 3D? It's pretty cool to look at a nice fancy building in 3D, but can I use that 3D building in my analysis of line of sight? Can I do a visualization analysis of the content of my 3D city? Can I do a flood modeling? 3D is used in a lot of times now. We see that in what if kind of scenarios. What if a flood happens or earthquake or things like that, and people try to use that and try to model an urban city. So there's a lot of areas that 3D can be used, and analysis is core to it. And some of the tools that we offer are actually targeting that area, that market, where you can perform 3D analysis and visualization within one system and be able to manage that data set, store it, and then ultimately actually share it. Share it as publishing a service, share it as packaging, layer package we call it, that you can share among colleagues.
I could see this actually being very useful for, let's say, like large-scale construction in a city, or even from a realtor's perspective, also, something very useful.
Right. There's a sort of like a movement now trying to create large 3D virtual cities. Local governments and cities are trying to build up a huge database of virtual city of their environment.
I could actually see this being really interesting at like Burning Man, like actually mapping the city as it evolves and actually modeling it in 3D form.
Right. We've had users. For example, one example that I can cite for you is that in Hong Kong, real estate is so prime that from what vantage, depending on where you're at or what vantage point you have in the city, they would want to institute like a payment plan. So in one case, they want to come up with a use case where they would be able to quantify the amount of view that you get from particular apartments and be able to price different apartments based on that. So they were able to use tools that were available within our application to actually measure the amount of visible area or visibility area, get a visibility area from each apartment and be able to use it. Another example would be shadow analysis.
Yeah.
For example, if there's a new proposed building to be erected in one city, and if it is in the high temperature zones and where shadow casting from one building to another building is kind of important factor in deciding whether you would want to move to that office or not. Users have actually used our tools to generate a shadow map and be able to quantify and evaluate over a duration of time to see how much of the area would be covered within a shadow
or reflection or something.
Or reflection.
Yeah.
Reflection also
Yeah.
could work in the same manner.
Yeah.
So a lot of users have become nifty in trying to use different tools and coming up and answering questions that you might not be, or that questions that might not be apparent or standing out at you when you're looking at a 2D map. But in 3D is very obvious. A valley is like a valley and a mountain is a mountain.
Yeah.
So that's what I believe that 3D affords you. This gives you this added dimension and allows you to explore your data in ways that you haven't thought about.
And you mentioned there were some themes and stories based around the 3D modeling. So
yeah, so the 5 themes that we would like to always mention as far as 3D are creating the 3D data set. You need to create a data set. And for that, as far as that goes, just last year we acquired a company called Procedural that allows you to procedurally model or generate 3D buildings and street networks. That's a great addition to our arsenal of software that we have that allows you to actually create 3D content. Cool. Once you've created that 3D content, and then you think about managing how you manage that data set. How do you go about actually editing it? How do you go about storing it into a database that you could use it for later use? Or how do you bring all these data sets that are out there? How do you import all these different 3D formats that are out there and be able to have to one common database that you can manage it? So second theme is managing. How do you manage it? Just talked about that. Then of course we mentioned about visualization. Visualization is key. You want to visualize it before you have it in some way. But visualization is also key, and we have a couple of applications called ArcGlobe and ArcScene. ArcGlobe allowing you to visualize large amounts of data set, and ArcScene very much suited for site scale kind of analysis. And we also have other offerings, freely available application called ArcGIS, actually, that we'll come and talk about it later on, that allows you to consume this services that you would publish. So you created the data set, you have a way to manage it, obviously you will visualize it, and we talked about analysis, how you can actually perform analysis within 3D context, within 3D view. And finally, my favorite part, and the part that we've been working on, this new release that we're working on, 10.1, ArcGIS 10.1, is the ability to share this content, the ability to share and publish this 3D data sets to the web. As you probably know, cloud is big. Everybody's talking about the cloud. So ArcGIS 10.1 now allows you to directly and easily publish 3D content from the application itself, from the application where you would create the content, and able to directly publish it to the cloud, in be it private clouds on your own premise or public clouds like on Amazon.
Or federal or state.
Or federal or state, anywhere really. Yeah. And share that content that you just created among your user base and the public at large. So those are the 5 themes that whenever we talk about 3D that we usually try to hit upon and try to kind of guide our users to think about when you start about looking into, expanding to that 3D medium. Yes, visualizing it is cool, but these are the other 3 or 4 aspects that you have to think about.
Are you guys finding that people or companies or governmental bodies or whatever want to share that data and want people to be involved with it?
Yeah. There's a huge momentum and movement in trying to share data, And work that we've been doing is trying to make it much easier within the ArcGIS system to be able to share and publish that content. I think people, by nature, they just want to share their data. Of course, with the constraints that some of the data might be shared within a private cloud, within an organization,
Sure.
or it could be publicly available. So from that aspect, we've been able to cover both grounds and be able to share it locally within your organization or share it at large to the public.
Sounds really interesting.
Thanks.
So
Yeah,
this
very
is
excited.
all with you and Esri and what you guys have going on.
Yeah, it's exciting. It's been exciting ever since I got to Esri, and this year is especially exciting because we put a lot of work into our new offering, ArcGIS 10.1.
So you guys also have a couple conferences too that developers should know about.
Yeah, we just wrapped up our developer conference actually in Palm Springs. Every year we have it for about a week. This is a conference geared towards our developers that actually take our software and our APIs and build their own application and design a product, basically based on our offerings. So that just wrapped up just about last week actually. And we have a bigger one coming up in July, a user conference where thousands of people come out and share their maps that they've been making on and learn and see.
And is that in Palm Springs as well?
No, that one is in San Diego.
San Diego,
Yeah.
another nice area.
Yeah, another great place.
Yeah.
So yeah, check it
Thank
out. Our product offerings, if you're interested about 3D, resources.arcgis.com. And if you go to 3D, you'll see all the things that I touched upon.
Cool. Well, thank you, Tam. This was
problem.
great.
Thanks.